So strap in and get ready. The leaders in NRL SuperCoach are incoming. Bringing you the ultimate insight to help you win your leagues and climb up the rankings. You're now listening to the Insight NRL Show with your hosts, Brain, Mattrix, and Whisperer.
Yes, we are live. Welcome back to the Insight NRL Show. TLT has come and gone. It is Wednesday night. We've got less than 24 hours until game one. And I tell you what, boys, I may have put about 37 polls up in the WhatsApp chat to get opinions today. Mattrix, you're probably underneath that because you had to do a bit of work today and I had a pretty cruisy day, mate. But how's your team coming along? Are you feeling settled coming into tomorrow?
Yeah, I am. Just as long as my Dolphins aren't the ones that didn't hop on the plane. I think I'm pretty sweet. The only thing is if I have to move a Sarko on from someone. But yeah, I'm settled. 3-gun fullbacks, baby.
The only one on the podcast, Josh.
I'm still not against it if I can make it work, especially with the news that Moses might be out for a little bit longer than first thought. So I'm definitely not against it. There could be a Reece Walsh appearing in my team in about 15 minutes as I'm making trades on air. I'm not against it.
Yeah, I think I'm more settled on fullback than I am the rest of my team. But I tell you what, there's still some moving parts. And also, how about the fucking slander in the chat from Adam here? 3 guarantees, death, taxes, and Brain running late. Fuck, I was the first one here. I was sitting here.
Seriously, Braino, I can't believe that me and Josh
Old mate in the middle holding us up, as usual.
Mate,
Josh and I have been sitting here chatting for ages. It felt like an hour. And then you just like stroll through and you're like, hey guys, have you done the notes? Like,
oh, yeah. Okay. It's funny because it is the opposite to that. And everyone knows that. But guys, we've got plenty to talk about. And obviously, you know, this is the first, I guess we could call it the proper TLT live. We only had 2 games to talk about last week for Vegas. This week we've got 6. So nearly a full slate. So things you might find will be a little bit different in terms of our approach for this live this year. But if you do want to make sure you don't miss any of the future episodes coming up throughout the season, make sure you hit subscribe and like. We would appreciate it. And if you're listening to us on audio, hit that follow button, leave us a 5-star review. Now, guys, we've still got leagues available to jump in. We're going to close off the Unlimited League, I'd say probably around round 5 or 6. So you've still got a bit of time to jump in there. The code is 211518. We'll be giving away a Standard Squeeze prize pack thanks to the Standard Squeeze for the top scorer in this league every single week. So it is not too late. It's also not too late to jump in the World Cup. So if you play more than one SuperCoach sport and you want to challenge yourself across the rest, jump in the SuperCoach World Cup. All the details are in our Discord. We combine the ranks and see who is the best SuperCoach player in the world. And Josh, your little baby here, the Ultimate Fantasy Championship. Do you want to run everybody through that?
Yes, the UFC. If you want to be a UFC champion without getting your head kicked in, then the Insight's very own UFC is the place to be. NRL SuperCoach, NRL Fantasy, Bundy Mixer, and a bit of Dream Team. Your 4 formats for NRL glory. I am off to a ripping start as I do own Zach Hosking and Isaiah Yeo in Dream Team and started Savilio Tamale. So you're all playing for second, but if you do want to get involved in it, it is not too late. Reach out to specifically at SC Brain because I will not see it. So reach out to Brain or the Inside account and we will hook you up. But you've got to play all 4. It's great to keep you engaged all throughout the season and all 4 different formats as well, different scoring, different team structures. So it's not like you can just have the same team across the board. So reach out, get involved. It is, my pet project this year. So make sure it looks good for my KPIs at the end of the Insight review.
Yes. You said hit up Brain to get signed up. I do the notes. I'm here early. You blokes just fucking roll in at 8:31.
I'm just the talent.
Yeah. Fair enough. What do you bring to the podcast, Mattrix? Beers.
Controversy.
Yeah, good. Actually, we'll probably lean into that controversy a little bit tonight because we're going to have some fun with that. For anybody who follows SC Mattrix on Instagram or Facebook or Twitter or wherever it is, you would have seen the controversy today, and we had fun with that. But guys, on today's show, we're going to be talking about all the ins and outs, all the winners and the losers from today's games, or from today's team lists or yesterday's team lists. Now, of course, sometimes last year we came to you and we said, you know, Zach Docker Clay's in and all the things that aren't overly relevant with SuperCoach. So this year we're going in a bit of a different direction. We're going to have themes that we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about groups of players this year. So we're not going to be wasting your time talking about the different ins and outs from every single team that aren't SuperCoach relevant. So stay tuned for that. I'm looking forward to diving into conversation a little bit deeper, and also probably not doing an hour 45 lives every single week will be probably beneficial for everybody, I think, across the board.
But maybe,
Wayne Mulligan's on it.
Maybe this week. I just looked at our notes, opened our notes for the first time. Might be an hour and 45 this week, but moving forward, it will definitely be way more condensed.
It feels like it. It feels like that. Guys, we do have plenty to talk about. So we'll also be bringing you Captain's Corner. We'll talk about Game Day Squad of the Week. And we've got heaps coming up, but we need to talk about TLT. So let's talk about the weekly preview. And wasn't
TLC that the band that sung Scrubs, or was that
TLC? I don't know.
Scrub.
Yeah, I think so. I'd love for them to do the podcast.
That'd be good. Maybe we'd get them on. Get them on just 1 week and might boost our views. For the week.
No Scrubs does not describe this podcast with the three of
us.
Three Scrubs.
And we could do a podcast like the guys who sung No Scrubs podcast. Yeah, I'm excited for it.
Yeah, let's do it. That'd be fun. Guys, back on to things. The weekly preview is brought to you by Ryan from Astute Newstead. If you want to get your rates below 6.2%, maybe you want to buy your first home, maybe you want to renovate your current home, or even just save some money, then Ryan's your guy. He does all the heavy lifting, has over 40 lenders on panel, including all the major banks, to get you the best deal. And the best part, absolutely zero obligation and zero cost involved. Doesn't cost you a cent. You can book your free consult via the link in the description below. Just let him know that Insight sent you, and Ryan will look after you. Now, guys, plenty of winners, plenty of losers, but the main conversation, and probably the conversation we've been seeing in the WhatsApp with our Patreon subscribers to start things off today, and many polls were asking me whether I like Kobe Hetherington or Naf White. I'm pretty sick of voting on polls, but there's a reason, because
that's a pot called a kettle black with the amount you've put up today.
You made them. They're all your polls.
Yeah, I know, and I'm sick of them. I need them to go away. I need to be settled on my team. And we're going to talk about the battle of the mid-range 2RFs for you to help you make your decision on what direction you're going to go. And obviously it is team structure dependent, so it's nearly impossible to help everybody. But we're going to talk through, what do we got here? 8 mid-range 2RFs. I've left 2 off the list on purpose because we're going to talk about the Eels a little bit later on. But Mattrix, maybe you first, mate. We've got a list here of 8 2RFs that are probably what we consider to be mid-range, like 462, Tom Gilbert being the top range of that mid-range 2RF section, all the way down to Sua Wong, who's just been named to start at lock for the Roosters today in replacement of Nat Butcher. How do you see these guys ranking, and who's your main target to kick things off?
Yeah, look, I'll probably let Josh talk about Alex Seyfarth because he's one of my favourites. But Tom Gilbert was one of my guys, and I love him. He is at the higher end of this. Look, whether you read into the narrative of now that he's captain and everything like that, he had a base of 52 playing before he did that ACL. Now, say that he's got to work back, take 10 points of value out of there. He can jag an attacking stat and work his way up. And I think, he is borderline keeper. I think that he could be a 580K guy at times throughout the year. And we're getting him at a discount. Look, Dolphins have a soft draw. Whether that matters for a middle or not, I don't know. Read into it what you will. But I'd be extremely happy to see Tom Gilbert at my team. And he is at the higher end of these guys. Which could sound like a little bit of a cop-out, but I really like Tom Gilbert.
What are your thoughts on Gilbert, Josh? He's been in and out of my team and a guy that I'd love. I just can't make the cash work at the moment. Is he floating around?
Yeah, been in and out of mine as well. And he's a 50-50 chance to be in my team come Thursday. Just trying to work out what structure I want to run, whether I can buy into some narratives that are being touted, but look, I think he's definitely a value. The question is how many minutes does he play and what PPM do we go at? Like, I'm probably around the 52, 53 minutes a game. And if we can get upwards of like 1.05, then we're pushing, or even 1.1, then we're pushing, nearly 60 points, which would be unreal for the price considering, people paid a little bit more for Hosking and he got 57. So if Gilbert's matching that at, 50K less, then, big win for owners there. But for me, it's more just about the minutes. If Plath wants to be playing 80, then it's guaranteed to be 80 on an edge with potential to be 80, 30 through the middle, which maybe sees 50 minutes for Gilbert. But really, really keen. Named captain, obviously had the ACL and picking forwards off ACLs is always rough. But I think he's at a cheap enough price to justify it.
Yeah, I tend to agree. If you can find a way to get Tom Gilbert, I think the way I'd rank those top two is I'd say Seyfarth 1, Gilbert 2. But
For people that haven't played, yeah, like I think I floated this idea to you guys about a week and a half ago about, hey, why don't we rank the top guys under 520? And I had Hosking at 1 before he played, so I think if you don't own Hosking, then Seyfarth was a pretty clear number 2 for me, and then Kelmer was in the discussion, but yeah, he's definitely sliding down the old draft board.
Yeah, we've got the Moses effect going to be in full effect a little bit later, where we'll talk about what our thoughts are on Moses being out and how that affects everyone around him. But we've got a few players on the list here. We've got Naff White, we've got Kobe Hetherington. Obviously, Tallis Duncan being named on the bench is a bit of a kick of the dick for most of us who are pretty keen on him, but there's a benefit to Duncan being on the bench. Ben Trebojevic, who has a nice little draw to start things off at Manly, looks like he's starting on an edge, but there are concerns around Waddell on the bench. So there's a bit going on now for anybody under Gilbert and Seyfarth. The role is just a little bit muddied, isn't it, Mattrix? Like, there's no guarantee in minutes. We can't be certain that any of these other guys we're about to talk about are locked into their roles.
No, and to be honest, that's probably why they're cheaper as well. Like, they haven't had the roles that we hope that they have. I was really high on Tallis Duncan when I thought that maybe he was going to be playing the 13, but yeah, we've got a cheapie emerge there. Burbo, I think if he gets 60 minutes, he could be really good as well. If Waddell takes 20 off him, then fine. Burbo can jag an attacking stack too. He's pretty good. And I think Kobe's going to be safe as houses. And I think Naff White's going to get a bump with Butcher out and Spencer Lenu out. But I also think if you're not looking to burn trades, and we're calling him a mid-range 2RF, I'm talking about Naff at front row forward. I hate burning, I say it every week, I hate burning trades at front row forward. And I think Naff White might not have the role you want in 5 or 6 weeks.
I guess I'm one of the few that disagree with Naff White. Like, I back the talent. I don't care about the number on his back. Whether it's 8, 10, 13, 14, 15, 16. Like, I still think he plays 45 to 47 minutes a game. Like, Lindsay Collins is not a big minute middle. Spencer Lenu is not a big minute middle. Nor is Sua Wong. People that are buying Sua Wong, I just couldn't. Like, if he was named round 1 to start, I've got more confidence. But the fact that he's been promoted off the back of an undisclosed injury, who knows? I've got Naff White pegged at 43, 44 minutes for like a 51, 52 average. So I think you're going to get to like nearly 500K out of him. So I'm really, really keen on him. I'm much more keen on him than I am Kobe Hetherington with the duel. We spoke about this in our tier ranking. We put more emphasis on that duel. We probably give it 3 or 4 extra points. Just with the flexibility that we have as well. So, I'm a big Naff White fan. Obviously, Tedesco spoke quite highly of him when I had the pleasure of asking him a couple of questions around that. So, I'm just looking at guys. Like, people are just naming names to come back. They're not really naming guys that are taking massive minutes out. Like Lindsay Collins, Spencer Lenu, both great players. They're not playing more than 45 minutes, 50 minutes a game.
Yeah, no, I tend to agree. I think I've got Naff White pegged at number 3 in this list personally. I think the duel's valuable. 28% owned isn't crazy either. He is the most owned out of all these 2RFs we're going to be talking about, but I'm still happy to take a punt, especially at front row forward. I don't know whether I want to play him at 2RF or have him in my 2RF. I think there's value there if he's your front row forward 3. I don't know whether I love it as your 2RF 3 or anything like that if you're going that cheap, but I think we'd be happy with mid to late 40s at a worst case floor. And I think that's realistic, considering Teddy spoke really highly about Naff White's preseason and just coming back from his games for New Zealand, just a different player in general. Obviously really fit in the preseason too. So he's got a lot of raps through the preseason. So obviously there was word that he was floating around at lock, could play some lock minutes. Then now he's obviously in the prop rotation. Very versatile, can fit into any position. He currently is a guy that I'm trying to work around in my team, and he's probably going to be one of those enablers, I think, that I take it at front row forward 3 to free things up.
Yeah, I think people that are looking at him for quick cash might be pleasantly surprised when they realize that they're playing him in round 8, round 9, even if he's off the bench. Like, very similar to Aaron Clark, very similar to Josh Curran last year. I've made those comparisons from a SuperCoach standpoint.
Agreed. Kobe Hetherington, Mattrix, you're probably higher on Kobe Hetherington than I am. 338K, 23% owned. We know that Pat Carrigan obviously has moved to prop to facilitate Hetherington into the 13 jersey, but we've spoken about this off air. There's obviously risk that Carrigan spells him, moves back to 13, and you've got guys who's on the bench. You've got a couple of props on the bench from memory. You've got Willison on the bench and Jensen. Yeah. So the bench doesn't necessarily suit Hetherington with Carrigan able to rotate there. How do you see that all playing out? How many minutes? What are you projecting for him?
Yeah, I think maybe 45, which is fine. That's the most he's played. Like, just remember, he's probably playing 25, 30 minutes when he was priced at this 338 that he's at. So we're going to see a fair increase. I also see it like as a super safe pick. Like, Kobe's not going to drop off. He's not going to play poor. He's not going to score you 20s. I think he's going to score you 40s. Much like a lot of people went Corey Jensen last year, and it was just safe, and it was fine. I'd be higher on him if he had that front row forward duel. But yeah, look, 338K. I think there's close to 10 points of value there. But yeah, when I look at some of the 230K guys now, I would probably advise to go that way.
For me, it's just I'll look at, obviously the role's different, but he's come into the middle rotation off the bench for the most part. Last year, he averaged 40 minutes per game. I mean, how much more do we think we're going to get? If we're thinking he's going to get 45 to 50 minutes as a ceiling at a 0.86 ppm last year, like I don't know. I just feel like this could be one of the guys that just ends up being a bit of a plotter that he'll get you 38 to 43 per game, and you know, there isn't really the ceiling there. He's never been a big ppm guy. Do you think that changes this year, Josh?
I don't love backing players in for just meteoric rises in ppm. Like, I've always been okay, well, if they're averaging 1.2 and they're starting, let's drop them back to a 1. Or if they're coming off the bench for a 1.14, then, you know, vice versa. Like, I never like to just predict like meteoric rises in work rate. It was like very similar to Corey Jensen when he started last year. I think he was like 380K, and everyone was like, oh, well, you know, he's going to average 60 points a game based off his current ppm. It's very, very hard to ask forwards that are playing 30 minutes a game that are going all out to all of a sudden continue that work rate, massive minutes. It's very, very rare, hence why the top guys are so rare. The AFBs, the Payne Haas's, the Terrell Mays, these guys that play 55, 60 minutes going at 1.1, 1.2, it's very rare. So for me, yeah, I'd never like to back on a player having a continued success with ppm with bigger ask.
Yeah, probably number 4 on the list here potentially for me. So we've got Gilbert, Seyfarth, White, Hetherington, I think around that mark. Now we've got some guys in here in this list. Ben Trebojevic, we spoke about the concern obviously with Corey Waddell on the bench. Every chance he could spell him and he doesn't play 80. I think the appeal for me is when Burbo plays 80 minutes. I think he averaged 54 in 80-minute games last year at 4 Points Park, and we know they play 5 out of the first 7 there. So for me, I'm probably not as keen on Burbo with the look of the bench. But Tallis Duncan, there's going to be a bit of a conversation around his 13 replacement, we'll call it, a little bit later. But are we writing off Tallis Duncan now, or do you think there's every chance, Josh, potentially, that he could end up playing the bulk of the minutes and just be coming off the bench?
It's tough to pick unseen at 420K. Like, he's a guy that I could be buying around 3 if he's playing the same role. But for me, it's like 420 is just too much to be paying for a guy that doesn't have dual, doesn't have the greatest ppm in the world. Much different to a Naf White. Even if he was off the bench this week, it's cheaper, better ppm historically, dual. So for me, it's just like I'll wait and see on Tallis Duncan. Like, I've got no interest starting with him round 1, even if there was a late shift on game day.
Yeah, I tend to agree. Anything to add on Tallis Duncan, Mattrix?
No, I can't touch him.
Agreed. Talk to us about Finafuiaki, mate. 368K, 13% owned, so still, in the conversation in a lot of teams. I've seen a lot of teams have him on the bench. The conversation around Plath wanting to rotate from the edge to the middle. There's also some, I guess we'll call them rumours. They're unconfirmed, but there is a chance that we do see Connolly Lemuelu potentially even start on the weekend, and we see Finafuiaki drop back to the bench. So what is that what kind of information does that give us, Matty, in terms of where we should be going with him?
I mean, Yeah, look, Plath being named at an edge sort of started to spell. Finafuiaki looks great in what I've seen in the preseason, and I'm excited. But yeah, again, it's just a wait and see. Like, he's not a 230k cheapie that you can cop it if Lemuelu plays a lot of minutes and Finafuiaki gets spelled. If Plath rotates around, like, what are they going to be doing there? Is Lemuelu gonna roll into there and Finafuiaki plays 80? If you could tell me today that Finafuiaki is playing 80, I would be in. But nobody can tell me that. So yeah, it's like our mate in the chat. It's just a magic 8-ball. Just shake it and guess. So I'm just gonna go, look, sorry, it's too hard now. Maybe I end up missing the first price rise on Finafuiaki if he's playing big minutes for 3 or 4 weeks. But
I don't see it happening.
I'm just gonna wait and see. I don't either. I'm just trying to be positive for one. But yeah, no, I'm off him.
I can see it theoretically with a world where, Lemuel is playing 30, 40 minutes off the bench, spelling Plath's left side while he moves into the middle. But reading every training report, I'm very lucky to have friends that work for the Dolphins. Like, there has never been a time where Lemuel has ever stepped foot on the left-hand side, apart from like very, very early January. And it's very heavily rotating that right-hand side with Lemuelu and Finafuiaki. So he is a guy that very much firmly has round 3 tattooed firmly on his forehead. For me, like, if he comes out and plays 80 in round 1, fantastic. If he does it again in round 2, amazing. Then we'll take the plunge. But for me, it's like, I'd rather Nafahu White move him up to front row. I'd rather pay a bit more and get safe I'd rather pay a bit more and get, Gilbert. Even like a Jack Williams that probably is going to have a better PPM rotating through the middle after his turn on the edge.
Yeah. I'm completely with you on that. I mean, Suez Wong's the last one to talk about very quickly before we move on. He wasn't even on the list until about half an hour ago when I added him. But obviously, Nat Butcher being out for the Roosters tonight creates a bit of relevance around Suez Wong. My concern is that this could just be a 1 week flash in the pan type situation where we then see Nat Butcher come back into this team. We haven't had any news. We've just seen Nat Butcher's been admitted or dropped out of the team. There's no news on whether he's been dropped based on. There's no way in the world he's been dropped based on performance because he's not in their best 17. I'll say that.
No, I would imagine he plays cup as well if he's being dropped on performance. So
that too.
I don't know, boys. I'm getting a bit of PTSD flashbacks to this exact time last year where Suo Wong was flavor of the month and it lasted about a game and a half.
Mm-hmm. Well, Suo Wong was an edge for 2RF second row forward on the NRL app for a good couple of years coming in, but this year they've changed him to a prop in the NRL app. Now, I don't know whether you like little superstitions like that or anything that you want to take from that. It could be nothing at all. But we've seen him now at 13. We haven't seen him on an edge at all in God knows how long. So, with the amount of middles that they have with Lenu coming back in round 3, and there's just so many moving parts on this bench, I don't know whether I trust at Mattrix to at least dive in, because then you get stuck with a 310k guy that you've got to find money to get up to anybody serviceable from there.
Yeah, I think he could just turn into like a little bit of a plodder anyway. Yeah, look, you can't touch him because he would have just got named if the role was his, and it's not his, and something's happened. I don't think they're saying exactly what it is. I was looking for it anyway. They're just saying that he's dropped out. That's it. No news. Yeah, I do like it for Connor Watson though. I was just looking at this team and I was having a look at how many people could rotate through the middle, like with Radley and Butcher and Wong and Steep and I don't even know anything about Taylor. Yeah, for Ketty. I don't know anything about Taylor Lasalu, but it just seemed like a lot of people that could be playing through the middle. But yeah, it just goes to prove that, you know what, he wasn't even the top of my list to be the next one to go through the middle, and they've found another middle. I was sort of thinking of Suo Wong as more of an edge anyway. So, hey, there's just so many middles in this team. They're probably just trying to put their best guys out on the park too. So
I just want to know, like, I do a lot for you boys. Like, I really try and help you get exposure and, try and give you a platform on this NRL SuperCoach content journey. And by that, I facilitate you being able to collaborate with me on Instagram and post your content. It helps me when I don't want to post content. And that's really good. We have a really good working relationship. But when I get pinged at about 1 o'clock when I'm in a spreadsheet meeting at work saying SC Mattrix has invited you to collab on a post, and I just press accept because it's normally the done thing that we do. We don't really review posts. We just, oh yeah, I trust him. And then about half an hour later, I just cop drive-bys like I'm Biggie Smalls in downtown California. I'm just copping it left, right, and center. People thinking it's me that has given this bad take.
Just another shit take from the Whisperer is what I saw this afternoon.
We're going to have to have an Insight Fantasy review on our social media policy moving forward, because I can't be copping slander whilst I'm trying to dissect spreadsheets at my work moving forward.
I enjoyed it. If that counts. No, look, I am very aware of, and you put this post in the chat, right? Mattrix put it in the chat, and he's like, "Should I post it?" And to be fair, Josh gave the green light. So,
so what happened was I get the notification on my Apple Watch that SC Mattrix invited you to collab on a post, and I mute. So I don't have like Meta Business Suite on my watch, but I've just got Instagram. But I mute all my notifications. I get way too many. So I accept the post. My phone goes face down. I've got about 30 more rows of cell to dissect for this spreadsheet. I'm like, cool. I'll check my phone in another hour or so. And I've got probably 130 notifications, and I open them, and it's just people absolutely teeing off on what they think is me posting kind of what's slander. So
yeah, fun. Yeah, the Watson slander's great.
No, but it's not even the Watson slander. It was the team. It was the Aldi. What was the Timu someone about 2 weeks ago that also popped up?
Oh, Pete Mamazelis. That was that was rough. Yeah. You've come in hard, Mattrix, on a couple of players this preseason. So it's going to be fun when they eventually shit the bed and you can brag about it.
Or when Pete Mamazelis becomes the second coming of Damien Cook, and I absolutely cop it.
You could, and that's probably every chance of happening. Let's talk cheapies, guys. We'll move on from the 2 RFs. Hopefully that's helped people get their final 2 RF 3 and 4 sorted anyway. But obviously we've had some cheapies named this week. This should be easy to get through. Isaiah Yongi, 232K, no-brainer, 66% owned. You're either going triple gun fullback or you're getting Yongi. There's no other structure, in my opinion, unless you're shout out to Brent, who has Nico Hines and 1 gun fullback. I think he's got turbo, so and it's worked out for him so far. So good on him. Robert Toya named at centre, confirmed everything that we thought. 60% owned, should be higher. 198K basement price. Just get him in your team. If you're trying to toss up, he is the cheapest player that you can get. Now, this next guy, Jackson Purdue, isn't the cheapest player that you can get. He's actually the most expensive on this list. 257K, 56% owned. Josh, I'll go to you because you've had times where you've been off him and then you've been on him and then you somehow end up in your team and out of your team. He's the guy, isn't he, that frees up that extra 25K in cash that can make you do other things.
Yeah. Ask yourself, are you ever going to play Jackson Purdue? And if the answer is no, then you can go against him. He is not going to hurt you if he pops off, all right? Like, that's the be-all and end-all for me. I also think he has the most security over, like, the most risk over his job security as well moving forward. I think he's a good player. We'll have some highlights. I think you might be really disappointed with the work rate when the attack does dry up, considering he is an undersized half now playing center. So he's not in my team, and probably won't be. Like, I'm 98.6% confident that he won't be in my team. But yeah, I mean, it frees up the money. Like, how many times do you boys build a team and you go, fuck, man, like the things I could do for 20K?
Mm-hmm.
So many times.
I'd do some bad things for 25K, that's for sure.
Would you do some things like trade Purdue to Shibasaki to get you 20K?
Nope. No, never. Never would I bring Shibasaki into my team. Absolute plod central. Not a chance.
Whoa. Hang on. I've just seen the chat. I was in the chat before, and I will always sign off with @SCW. This is slanderous. I just told the chat how much I do for you boys to help you out, and this is how you repay me by slandering.
Who do you reckon it is? Who do you reckon it was that posted it? The little fucking boy giggling in the middle.
Like a schoolgirl. Big my friend over there likes you vibes. What do you think of him?
What do you, Mattrix? I mean, you're obviously just trying to bait Josh. Well, I'm assuming Purdue's in your team.
Yeah, no, Purdue's in my team. Look, and it's not for any other reason. He's got a good spot in there. I think North Queensland Cowboys can score a lot of points. But yeah, look, I do think if he starts letting in a lot of points, that there's some people that will be knocking down his door, like your derbies and blokes like that. But look, yeah, Purdue for now, I think that he's fine. I think he's actually probably playable on good matchups as well. But yeah, like the things you can do with the extra 25K and to some of these other guys is really nice as well. But look, I'm sitting there with Purdue in my side and I'm quite happy. And I didn't play Aaron Clark, and I'm actually thinking about even playing Purdue this week. So
I won't be playing Purdue. I'll try and avoid playing Purdue. I think, Josh, I'm in between you both. I think that if I was convinced or if I needed the 25K enough, I would consider moving on. But the problem becomes I'd need to get Shitasaki, and I don't want him in my team. So I'd probably rather Purdue plus 25K than free up the money to get Shitasaki in my team. So, but he does have no base. So I think that's probably the one thing that scares me a little bit is he could go 19-14. Cowboys get absolutely decimated, which that we know they've got a tough draw. So, maybe they don't click to start with, and Purdue then is he's got Zach Labutt knocking on his door at 4 p.m. on a Tuesday. That could seriously be the conversation we're having in a couple of weeks' time. What do we do with Purdue? Now that Zach Labutt's fit, he's playing his first game in the Queensland Cup this weekend, back from his ACL. So they're probably going to give him some time to get back into the team they were super high in last year. I don't know. There's definitely risk there that he could drop out. He definitely doesn't have the best job security possible, I don't think. But for now, he's in my team at 56% owned, and I think if he does hold his spot, he can. I disagree with Josh. I think he can hurt you when he makes fucking 500K.
Sorry, yeah. I've missed our live chats. they are in fine form. It's been a long 6 months. I've missed our lives so much.
Shiba whatever is what Professor Cactus has called him. One of my favorites. Good.
No, mine was the Matt one. If Brisbane Flyers, Mattrix attempt to drink that as well, and then Melissa Hansen with he's already attempted the brown snake. So I've missed our live chats more than you guys.
Good. Absolutely. It's been good fun.
Oh, and also, yes, absolutely. We've already said Brain is going to be calling in sick the day that Shibasaki scores 80.
I'll be sick Sunday. Absolutely. If he fucking pops off, I'll be very sick. But Tom Duffy, 40% owned. Look, you either, I assume you probably have Nico and Cleary at halfback 1 and 2, or you have Tom Duffy. I don't know what other move there is to make there, to be honest. I don't think I'd be doing anything else. But at the moment, it's his role. At the moment, we think that it's his role on merit Mattrix more than anything. I mean, Jake Clifford is on the extended bench, but that probably tells me that Tom Duffy's been given the keys to Townsville, so to speak.
Yeah. Any goal kicks too. Like, there's just too many ticks to not. Clifford's sniffing around if he does take a step out, because Clifford wasn't bad towards the end of last year. Even SuperCoach-wise, I think he averaged about that 53. But look, yeah, you can't not have 198K goal-kicking Tom Duffy in a team that scores a lot of points. Like, yeah, it's a no-brainer.
It's also, I keep telling this to people, it's not the end of the world, because you've got Sandon Smith sitting there with a really, really handy jewel, and you do have hooker options aplenty that are around the similar price.
Yeah, Riley Smith obviously been named for Para. You got Paddy, obviously, who we missed now, who didn't play. But
you can get him like round 3 if he's dropped, but like Corey Pakes, Owen Paddy, Riley Smith, members else, if you've got 100K sitting up your clacker, like there's plenty of options to be grabbed cheap. Tom Starling, like there's plenty of these guys that are sub 350 that you can snap up if Duffy does go pear-shaped.
And obviously, we're not talking about Vegas players tonight because you can't bring them in. So it's not really worth talking about it, but they'll definitely be part of the conversation next week.
Make it known that Northern Pride 6:30 next Saturday does have one number 7 Jay Clifford named. So
there you go. Perfect. That's what we want to hear. All right. Sandon Smith, again, we talked about the goal kicking at a kind of a basement price, 54% owned Sandon Smith. I mean, as bad as he was in the trial, look, I think, he's not going to be a world beater. I don't see him averaging 50, but I mean, does he average 40? Because that's probably enough for me at that price. I'm not going to ever play him. He's my hooker 2 at the moment. If you have to play him, that's when we're starting to have the conversation about potentially improving that spot. But I think he's fine.
He's fine.
I think it's hard to build a cohesive 3 fullback draft with players that have locked out now that doesn't include Shitter at hooker. Like, I just tried to do it then. For any Patreon viewers, thanks in the chat, because my poll right now is about 40-1 in terms of no 3-gun fullbacks. So fun. But yeah, no, I'm struggling to find a structure that allows you to have like a Preston or a Hopgood or anyone like that, whilst also still having 3-gun fullback. So yeah, it depends on what you want to sacrifice. And if you've already got Metcalf that stunk the bed, it's very hard to then knowingly punt hooker when you know you're probably going to get stuck with a 12 from Metcalf.
Yeah, you said your poll was 40-1. It was 27-1. Now it's 28. So I just thought I'd contribute and help you out with your decision making.
It's been reversed, so don't stress.
Yeah, good. All right, Sandon Smith, yes, get him in. Savelio Tamale, look, we'll mention him because obviously there's a conversation to have around people planning to get him next week, and I don't think you need to because obviously, Hopewadi potentially coming back into this team next week, but Xavier Savage is going to be out for 1 week, am I right? And he's suspended from Vegas. Yeah. So we're going to get a good look at their full-strength backline come round 3 when the time will be to bring him in on the bubble. Obviously, if he's named, great, get him in. Because you know that he's been picked on merit. If he's not named, great, don't worry.
There is a world where you buy Tamale next week. He's up against Dean Mariner and Selwyn Cobbo, who are not defensive powerhouses.
What do you mean Dean Mariner's not good in defense? No way.
Shock horror.
No way.
But,
Kura might have to play in the centers for that game then.
Yeah, he's really good defensively as well, isn't he?
I'll tell you what, do we hate playing Tamale next week? If you've got Harry Grant and Cam Munster out, you need to fill two slots. Like, I don't hate fielding Tamale's right-hand man.
Yeah. I think he's the most playable out of all of them. Him and Robert Toya are probably the 2 guys that I'd be comfortable playing off the centre wing bench if you needed to. Do I love having like 3 or 4 cheapies in centre wing? No, I don't. I think you probably need to have 4 playable centre wings.
I'm not building my team with Tamale as centre wing 4.
No, I don't think so. But yeah, definitely a guy we'll look at potentially in round 3. I think, yeah, if you want to get spicy, you pick him up in round 2, but the risk is then he gets dropped. And Ricky Stewart does Ricky Stewart things. Talk to us about Lockie Hubner. How do I pronounce that? Hubner. 232K, 25% owned Mattrix. Like he is the guy now, right? His ownership has gone from like 7% to 25% in the last probably how many hours is that? 29 hours since TLT. Everybody's jumped on him for good reason. He's named at the 13, but they've got Tallis Duncan on the bench who could easily spell him. How many minutes do you predict that he's going to get? And is he a guy you're looking at 2RF 5 or 6?
Yeah. He come in as soon as I did that. As I saw that he was in there, I had Kobe Hetherington. And then I was like, well, I kind of see the same role. Dare I say there's a possibility of maybe a little bit better. Like, I don't know. I'm just gonna take it. Like, Tallis Duncan played 40 minutes a game last year. If Hubner plays 40 as well, I think I'm still happy at 200K. I'm not going to play him. I'm just going to hope that he creates some cash generation. And if not, I got it wrong. But it allows me to get a couple of guys into more playable guys as well, just with that 100K. So I'm pretty stoked with that. He come from the clouds and, wheels up. And look, it's price dependent. If he was 300K, I honestly probably wouldn't have him. But it's the extra 100K from some of those mid-ranges that we spoke about. If I had the money to go Hubner to a Tom Gilbert, I probably would. But then we're talking 200K, man. Like, who's got 200K to play with at the moment?
He was a very, very easy cash free up for my 2RF5 that I had that we'll talk about soon. Probably a pretty easy decision. When you get a starting lock, Josh, on a team that, even if he plays 30 minutes, he'll make probably 32 tackles and, that'll be him. And obviously Wayne Bennett's brought him across from the Dolphins. Wayne Bennett clearly loves him enough to get him into this side come round 1. So obviously he's impressed, not just Bennett, but everybody else. Pretty easy decision to get him in, right?
Yeah. So I guess just a little bit on him. He's been a bit of a toiler for the last couple of years. He's played 4 seasons of Q Cup, and we're using fantasy stats. But I guess to give people a bit of a perspective for watching the game on the weekend, in terms of fantasy scores, Corey Horsburgh got a 56, Mitchell Barnett got a 49. So to give you an idea of what that sort of looks like from a fantasy standpoint, Hubner has gone 46, 42, 55, 49 in terms of fantasy the last couple of years in Q Cup, averaging 90 to 140 run meters a game, averaging near enough 600 tackles every season at 92, 93% efficiency. So no huge demerits in his game there, which is really handy. He has gotten better as his years have gone on. 29 tackle busts in a season, so won a game. And played 1 game of last year where he scored 22 points in 30 minutes. And yeah, so not unreal PPM, 0.7, but if he's getting us 50 minutes, I have to play him this week. If I do opt to run Tino, I'm not losing sleep over playing a starting lock if he's getting 45, 50 minutes. It depends on what happens with the edges. You've got guys like Keon that can shift if Tallis Duncan does come on, or a Jai Arrow can move to the middle as well. So it is not without its risk, but for 232K, yeah, I'd much rather take a middle playing with a good PPM over Jack Gasecki, who now probably loses a bit of stock with Brendan Pierre-Core named on the bench.
Yeah, cool. That answers Radio Buckley's question in the chat, Hubner or Goz. That's probably my pick. I don't hate going with both. If you want to go with one at 2RF5, one at 2RF6 and play 4 playable 2RFs and free up cash elsewhere, that's at the moment the strategy that I'm looking at. I'm not 100% locked in on it, but I think I'm going in that direction. Thoughts on Gashevsky and we've already spoken about Hubner, but what about Gashevsky? Yeah, there is risk there with Piakura spelling him. He probably doesn't get 80 minutes, Mattrix, but how many minutes do you think he's going to get? Is he still a guy that you're comfortable as a bit of a tackle bot, really? We know Madge loves his defensive players. I think he could be that guy.
Yeah, I think if he gets 55 minutes, I'm happy with Goss.
I'm happy to own him.
Yeah, I'm fine with him.
I'm not playing him. I mean, surely if you've got these 200K guys, and I do understand that having, a Titan or 2 is maybe a little bit of a luxury that you've got to play one of these shitters, but surely you're bringing in a 230K guy that you can have a look in the first week. Gashevsky, Hubner, Shibasaki, all these guys, just wait a week. Just play somebody that you paid a touch more for. Where are you spending all this money?
If Jack does get 80 in some way, he is, let's not remember that people are NRL players. They're very, very good at their craft.
Yeah.
When Jack was given his chance back in 2013 for the Cows, in 80-minute games, 47, 41, 52, 72, he's a fine play in weeks that you're sure if he's playing 80, and that's the big caveat. So for me, I currently have Dimitri locked on my bench. In a perfect world, I would have just run the gauntlet and not picked Dimitri, but the news of Kitoni Katoga being injured put me off, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get a Hubner because there was concerns over Thomas Fletcher and Ewan Aitken and stuff being in HA protocol and injured, so it just scared me a little bit. But if you don't have Dimitri, I'm very just happy to have Goss's 2RF7 and Hubner's 2RF6 or even 5 at the highest.
Yeah, let us know how you're getting 7 2RFs.
Sorry,
raw to the system.
2RF6, 2RF5, and if you're not running 4 premiums then or playable 2RFs, then at 4 is fine.
I'm with you. I'm with you on both of those. The last 2 cheapies, we've got Jam at Shibasaki, guys. I'll let you guys talk about him.
That guy. He's that guy.
He's rattled. He's absolutely
honestly, I think if we're being real, I think he's actually petrified about the outburst. Mate, he is going to be head noise galore if Kelma fucking stinks and Sheba scores 60 plus.
Honestly, when Braino shuts one eye, he sees Shibasaki, and then when he shuts the other one, he sees Kelma Tuolagi.
Kelma, specifically without Mitchell Moses. Look, Shibasaki, I think he's the worst talent out of the 4 cheapies that we have. Let's not make that mistake. It's definitely Toya 1, Tamale 2, Purdue 3, and then Sheba 4. But if you didn't jump on Tamale, then I think he's an absolutely fine play as your centre wing 7.
Yeah, and you never want to, like, again, going through this, I don't think you really want to play him. Like, is Shibasaki the play over Arthur's? I see in the chat from Chris J. Like no. Like,
not
you just you're paying up for some of these other guys, so you're going to be playing them. But at 238K, even if he gets 6 or 7 weeks, he is going to make some money, and that's the aim for me early on.
I think people are forgetting that it is a bottom dollar NRL player playing 80 minutes as an outside back. If he falls over the fucking line in 7 weeks, he will make you 100K. So put your bias of him as a player aside. He sucks. Like, no doubt about it. He is not the most talented player in the NRL, and he's probably the least talented player out of the 4 centre wings that we have. But if you didn't go to Male, I am baffled as to why you would not go Shibasaki. And you have him there because you are praying for him to fall over the fucking line, and all of a sudden you make some money.
Surprised we're still talking about him. I thought I was gone long enough to come back and you would have moved on to Hamish Stewart.
We spent a bit of time talking about your sleep, and when you close one eye, you see Kelma without Mitchell Moses in one, and you see Sheba in the other. We spoke about how much head noise you're going to have when Kelma scores 7-8 points and Sheba falls over for a double. What else did we speak about?
When he closes both eyes, it's Shibasaki kissing Moses-less to Alungi.
Yeah. We said bad day to be sick leave for you on Monday when you want a rotten bed all day. Yeah, just a couple of things.
Yeah, no, cool. It was good. Like it. Yeah, good. I'm glad you enjoyed yourselves. That's good because I missed out on all that garbage. So like now I'm back and the good shit's happening. So we can move on. Last little cheapie, I guess, is Hamish Stewart, who's won that 17 jersey at the Dragons. I mean, let's quickly touch on him. I mean,
terrifying, isn't it?
I mean, at the end of the day, who gives a fuck? We're picking a front row forward that's going to play at bottom dollar. And if he plays for 1 week, sure.
This will be Jacob Gagai, but just a front row this year.
Pretty much. And I don't even care if he's a plotter and does nothing.
Can I ask you that? Are you worried about him ruining an AE, or are you just playing like a Miles Martin or somebody like that at 198K?
No, because your fucking shitter is our AE. Your Jesus is going to be our fucking AE every week. He'll be the flex that comes
just this week. Just this week.
Every week. He's a flop.
Good.
You watch when he falls over for a double and he goal kicks. I did pick the Warriors to be ordinary.
I will book to do the Harbour Bridge tour. I will bring my JBL speaker and I will have Jesus Walks playing on top of Sydney Harbour in memory of you.
Yeah, cool. Thanks.
Good. That should be on. It'll be on your social media as well. You'll get a collaborator invite on that one, Mattrix.
Can I let people know? And it's just been a day for slander. Can I let people know that I cop it when Luke Metcalf does bad, but I also copped it when I said that the Warriors were going to start 1 of 7. Like, I can't win.
No, I'm terrified for Alex Seyfarth, by the way, because Metcalf, he's cooked, he's done. Kelma, we think's barbecued. So I'm just waiting for the Grim Reaper to come for Alex Seyfarth now.
Yeah, he's going to get all 3 of yours at once. I've still got Dylan Lucas. He's my only saving grace at the moment. So if he shits the bed, I'm in all sorts of trouble. Boys, let's move on. We've talked the cheapies. I guess the big question on everybody's lips is the Mitchell Moses effect. He hasn't been named. We don't know how long he's going to be out for. There's no news, but it doesn't sound like good news if they're being conservative about his treatment, Josh. Like, from basically the comments that have come out, they want to work with Mitch Moses to make sure that he gets back to full health, but it doesn't sound like it's a clear-cut thing. And based on NRL physio, it seems like that might be an area of the body that obviously doesn't get much blood flow, so the recovery's slow. I'm nervous if I had Eels assets that were relying on Mitchell Moses, aka Kelma Tuolangi. I'm off personally.
Yeah, me too. Problem is, I wish I fucking knew this news a week earlier because I had money for a certain fucking big bird looking motherfucker.
Start with Hoz, ending King.
And I would have been able to cry on Twitter about try assists, but no. So now I'm looking at ripping my team up for Hopgood or taking Tino. So I'm not sure what to do. It's a little bit annoying, but hey, you live and you learn. Yeah, I'm not keen on Kelma. I'm borderline not keen on Iongi, but I don't know if I can pass up and going to Walsh has just rips my side apart way too much. So it's fun, interesting times, but definitely off old Kelma.
Yeah.
You've got like lots of good chat here about like Kelma and Brown and all these guys. Do we think that it affects Iongi?
We spoke about this the other day. Like, we're actually very lucky that we saw Iongi perform all preseason without Moses. So probably puts a little bit more credence into him being fine without Moses, which is kind of nice. Yep. Volkman was feeding him okay ball, and Dill Brown is Dill Brown at the end of the day. So yeah, I think the interesting question now becomes like Dylan Brown, if he becomes a viable option, because he's a guy that I could move some funds around and pick up if I do go like a Tino. Oh, that's all right. That's gonna be my next WhatsApp poll, and feel free to vote in the chat as well. It's gonna be Asako and Tino in brackets Hubner versus Dylan Brown and Tom Gilbert. So yeah, that'll be my next poll.
Cool. I can't wait to vote the most unpopular option. That's going to be good.
I do wish those polls had the answers hidden until you voted.
Yeah, that's true. It obviously your bias. You want to follow the crowd for the most part. So yeah, it's definitely easier to vote with everybody who's already voted.
Live poll on the WhatsApp.
This is just a fair representation about how much time we've been spending in this WhatsApp recently.
Oh, it's a good plug. If you want to get your $10 value, link in the description, but also you just watch us lose our heads completely.
That's good.
Somebody this morning sent me his team anyway, and I got stuck at some lights. So he got a 3-minute rant on me talking about his team on the way to work this morning. So that's the sort of thing that you could get. Yeah.
That's what you get for a tenner at Insight Fantasy Sports is Mattrix on the blower telling you that your team's shit and that you should change most of it. So, you're welcome. Jack, we won't really talk about Jack Williams. I'm not a huge fan at the price, but Dylan Brown without Moses averages 68.7, I think it is. 68. I've got the post here. 68.7 without Moses last year and 62.3 with Moses. So there's a 6-point bump, 6.5 point bump there without him. Obviously, that was with Dejan Arce, so a different halfback to pair him with. But I think Dylan Brown could be putting his hand up now if Moses is out for an extended period of time. He could be that guy if you're a bit nervous about Metcalf and your 5'8" is like a Dewey or even a Munster who next week you have to have on a bye. I might even try and get up to Dylan Brown instead. What are your thoughts on that?
I like it. I think that 68.7 is there when Parramatta were shit. I expect them to be... Maybe I expected them to be a little bit better with Moses, so maybe I need to think about this a little bit more. But look, I think Dylan Brown, with some of the weapons that they've got, I'm talking Lomax and some of these other guys as well, they can have a really nice team this year. And there's probably more attacking upside for Dylan Brown as well. Like that could start with a 7 very easily.
Tend to agree. I was caught up voting on your poll on the least popular option for you.
All right. Whatever one, I need confirmation bias and no one's giving it to me, which is really annoying. But it is what it is. Depends on how much stock you want to put in Parramatta. As we just recorded over the cap, go give that a listen if you like sports betting. Parramatta are like 20-point underdogs in this game. Like bookies expected to get piped.
Yeah. And look, fair enough. I get it, but I don't think that's 20-point underdogs. I think there's value there for sure. But, this is the perfect opportunity for me with Moses out to basically now drop Zach Lomax down my draft board and not cop any slack for it because Moses is out. So,
right. No, yeah. I'll still take games Moses played. I'm happy to caveat. And I'll give you the games Moses plays because it's still
cool. Let's do that. I feel better about that.
My Kaolero prediction, it's to the moon. It's Kaolero over Lomax.
Oh, yeah. You did so well. He got 65. Cool. Very good. Very good. All right.
Lomax is going to score this week.
Probably. Double cheapie hooker, guys, or pay up for Harry Grant, I guess is the question. We've talked about Connor Watson at the start of the episode. I don't want to slander Connor Watson too much on this episode, Mattrix. But
we didn't talk about Connor Watson.
No, Mattrix.
We left that for old Mattrix in the middle.
Yeah, because we've already copped it in drive-bys on his Instagram post. So
all I said was 70 to 80 minute Connor Watson could be dead.
If it makes you feel better, I still think 70 to 80 minute Connor Watson's not that guy.
At hooker.
Oh yeah, people are telling me like mid 60s. I'm just like, you fucking crazy. Like
at hooker, no.
Like 62 max IMO.
Yeah. That's the post that I said. I did put the big trap stamp on. That's
what triggered people.
Big clickbait. Of course, I respect it. Though. You're learning the social media game, so I can respect that.
And that's exactly why we made the last tier on our positional analysis podcasts Brother and not Fade, because it's more aggressive and people get upset when their player is in Brother
How did you put
with all due respect, if you want people that are very, very Switzerland with the SuperCoach takes, there's 47 other podcasts you can listen to. At least you know with IFS that we're going to give you our real opinion.
Yeah, 100%. Shibasaki is terrible. Do not pick him. Double cheapie hooker, guys. Is anybody in that category at this point in time? I'm not.
I was 25 minutes ago. And then the WhatsApp chat told me no, so I'm back on.
The WhatsApp chat knows. Mattrix, what are you doing?
It was more just to facilitate Reece Walsh. That's basically the only reason why I'll be doing it.
Yeah, I can't do it now because my hooker has played. Where are you at, Matty?
So my team's looking pretty grim in certain stages, but let me tell you that I have Harry Grant and 3-gun fullbacks. Nice. I'm sick of not...
Lachlan Huber 2RF3 to the moon.
Yeah. Charlie Guymer 2RF2. Good.
No, I don't have either. I've got Hubner. But I just think that Harry Grant is a guy that can score 140. I'm sick of not owning him. I am just having a crack. And I think that he could be really good.
Sorry to cut you off. Mattrix. Live comment from at Canberra Y Nathan. The Whisperer at it again. No fucking surprises here. On a post from SC Mattrix. Fucking open your eyes. I'm just gonna
this is great. Honestly, that was the best live response I've ever seen. I'm really happy for it.
But yeah, look, Harry Grant, like let's just pay up. Let's just set and forget. Maybe have 11 weeks because we know that he, winds down a little bit through that origin period when you've got Wisharts, when you've got Garlics, when you've got blokes like that. But maybe I just hold him through that period and hold him all year if he's not injured. And I start to work. I've got a lot of 200k cheapies. I've got a lot of guys at some value. Every guy except my front row forward 4, I expect to make some money. I didn't even go Tamale because I was worried about his job security. So, yeah, I've got Harry Grant and I think he's worth paying up because he's like, I'm not going to captain him. I might vice captain him a few times, but he is the only hooker that can get you 140 and really move you up the ranks and move the needle at hooker.
Yeah, I do want to note this from Jamie Camilleri. Obviously, no Harry Grant in round 2. Then what rookie players defeats the purpose. Not if Harry Grant comes out and averages fucking 90 for the first 5 weeks that he plays. Like if he's still outperforming, if Harry Grant at 80 for 5 weeks and one game of Tanner Smith at 30 is still outperforming the next best hooker, then it's still a fine play. And we'll touch on Harry Grant in our captaincy post as well. Chris Gray wants to know who would be put behind Harry Grant at second. I think we've been pretty vocal in terms of value. I think we're all in agreement that it was like Whaley.
Break Brewery. Yeah.
And just in terms of value, so we do feel pretty vindicated that he did get 63 and got shafted, which could have been near enough 80.
70 plus, yeah.
So,
I'm very keen on Brayley to a point where he's in my team. And I mean, like, we're not obviously going to reveal our whole team. The Patreon know what our team look like, and they'll get an update on what our final teams look like as of tomorrow.
10 minutes.
Yeah, for the last 10 minutes. So Josh obviously has changed his team 5 times since we've been live. So that's what the Patreon get access to. But no, I do have Brayley and Smith at hooker, which I think is going to be relatively popular. I'm locked into that now, which means I probably need to shuffle way too many things around to get 3-gun fullbacks with the money spent at hooker. But in saying that,
I'm not against just going Watson either. If I do want to go from Tino to Hopgood, I'm not against just going to Watson and just copping like a mid-60s as well.
Yeah, fair enough. Very quickly, guys, let's rate the cheapie hookers and we'll move on to the last bit. Mamazelis, Pakes, Hands, Crossland. How are we seeing these guys? They've all got someone behind them on the bench. I I guess he's probably at the top of the cheapie list.
Yeah,
Maybe we can just assume he sits
one
there.
for me, yeah.
Yeah. So what about the rest? We've got Mamazelis, Pakes, Hands, Crossland is probably the next four.
I don't know about you, Matty, but I'm probably Mamazelis, Crossland, Pakes.
Yeah, and I think that is the play, but I also think Pakes at 100k or 130k cheaper than some of these blokes. I would just rather properly, like, if you're gonna give it, how many times do you just get a 300k guy in that's priced at 300k for a reason? Like, Crossland's played a lot of games and it just doesn't pan out. Like, just get a 200k guy. At least you know that he's priced at 200k. He might crash over and make you a little bit of money. But, like, if Crossland's still in the 300s at the end of the year, like he is most years, like, I wouldn't be surprised. And, like, what's the point of paying the extra? Like, for the 9 points that I'm going to get, I'll just play Pakes. So, honestly, on price, it's probably Pakes, Mamazelis, Crossland for me, and then Hands.
Yeah, fair enough. Look, I think Mamazelis is down the bottom of the list just due to the cash for me. Like 300k versus getting a Pakes who's going to start is probably, the guy for me. Brayley is too good on the bench to play 15 minutes, so I don't see Crossland really getting too many.
A hindsight hero, but at 342, we're pretty confident to say that Tom Starling's numero uno.
Oh yeah, I reckon if you have no other fires to put out and your hooker shit the bed in round 1, I'd be getting Starling in round 2 for sure. Owen Paddy looks like he's locked into 15 to 20 minutes per game, and I think we'll see the same from Riley Smith. To be fair,
it was also kind of sexy to watch Starling play 13 with Paddy on the field as well.
Yeah, there's a lot to like about. Starling in general. His game is very SuperCoach friendly.
It's like your first time. A little bit messy, but like memorable.
Yeah, fair.
I still think about
our top 5 well-owned fades or antipods. We'll call them antipods. Let's work through these very quickly, and we'll get to captaincy. Royce Hunt, top of the fucking list for me by a country mile. 249k. He's 32% owned. I just don't love the bench. I don't love the role. Terrell May is going to play fucking 90 minutes if he's allowed.
You know how Will Chamberlain averaged 48.5 minutes a game that season?
That'd be Terrell May this year.
I think Gerbo averaged 80.3 minutes a game like a couple of years ago. That'll be Terrell May this year.
Yeah, that's why I'm just not high on Royce Hunt. Like I just think that he's going to probably, it's what it says on the tin, and I think you're going to be stuck. And a lot of people are using him at front row forward 3. I'll caveat this by saying if you've got him at front row forward 4, whatever, I'd like just maybe even just downgrade into a 198k guy. But front row forward 3 with Royce Hunt is danger zone, because you might eventually need to rely on playing him, or you're going to be forced into a trade because you don't want to play him. I'm very concerned that he's going to average 30 for the season and you're going to make, 40k.
Yeah, maybe I'm getting a bit silly because it's the first podcast of the year, but if you did a soundbite called "Welcome to the Danger Zone," I would be about that for Royce Hunt. That would be elite areas. But yeah, look, there's a reason he's played a lot of games and he's still priced at 250k. So
that's your homework this week, Nathan. Bit of Kenny Loggins, Highway to the Danger Zone.
I can do that. That's no problem. So I'll just do all of your other uploads as well as your thumbnails, and then I'll do that as well. And the notes.
Do we want to look at income rev since joined the pod, or
I'd rather not. Let's move on to Pete Mamazelis, 302k, 26% owned. I'm in the fade camp. I said I've got him a fair way down the list. I just think that Jamie Humphries in the 7 will last 1 week. Lewis Dodd, there's no way they're paying 700k transfer fee to get Lewis Dodd over to play Carp. He'll come back into the 7. Jamie Humphries will be in the 14 jersey. Mamazelis might play 50 minutes, but Humphrey is way too good to sit on the bench, Josh, for 40 plus minutes and do nothing.
Yeah, I'm concerned about the trade-in rankings next week, because I think Mamazelis has a very good game this week.
This week he could go well, yeah.
Because Jaden Sullivan is fine.
Saliva Havili on the bench too.
Yeah, look, I think Mamazelis could score 60, and he's like the 4th most traded in player this week.
Won't be traded in by me.
No.
Or anybody watching this podcast, hopefully.
Timu Damien Cook. Yeah.
Fucking hell. Teammate Jacob Little. Jack Bird, 379K, 18% owned. Off the bench, sending me for 10 or Jack Bird for 10?
No, just Jack Bird.
Yeah.
Just the concept of Jack Bird.
Cool. All right. I was worried
Yeah,
you were disagreeing.
You were sent the bin 2 years ago. You're fine.
Yeah, that's true. Just podcast from the bin. The fourth on the list is Kefu Finafuiaki, 368K. He's 13% owned. He's on report.
He's on report, yeah.
Fair enough.
Because I can see it. I can see the appeal. I can get behind it.
I'm just a bit worried that he plays 40 minutes and averages fucking 37. And that's
37. Fuck, that's a great PPM for Finafuiaki.
Actually true. You're probably looking at 28.
It's like 26.
To be fair. Yeah, fair. But I'm on the fade list for Finafuiaki. I think there's way too many good 2RF options, Mattrix, around that maybe price point, or at least maybe, I don't know, 30, 40K higher that you get aside from him when the job security or the minutes are the concern.
Yeah. Pay up, get Tom Gilbert.
And then, is anybody else as off Ty Munro as me? Like, everyone was super high on him at the start of the year. He's still 10% owned.
Were we?
He's getting sent. He's
I'm not sending, but it's like it's a
But I mean, we look at, for anybody on Ty Munro, I understand the appeal because he's sub 400K and he scores tries, but at the same time, he's on the right wing.
Have you looked at South Sydney recently?
Exactly. No Latrell. Jamie Humphries loves going left. We saw it in the trial. Both of his try assists were on the left-hand side, and Cody Walker is left side dominant.
With one leg?
Yep. Yeah. And very left side dominant. So I think all their attacks are going to go down the left.
Campbell Graham.
Obviously,
from the same school as Herbie Farnworth and Stephen Crichton of cooler hands.
Tony Staggs as well can go. He went to that school apparently, I've heard. But yeah, if you're on Ty Munro, get off him as well for sure. Yep. And as Radio Buckley would say, it doesn't have a lick of base. No. So good shout, boys. Let's chat captaincy, because we're gonna do things a bit different for captaincy, aren't we? This year we're gonna bring one to the table each for vice captain and captain. So let's get into that.
Are you ready, kids?
Aye, captain.
And the beauty of doing the notes means that I get to choose first. And I've got Ponga into Turbo, which I think is the most popular and common sense approach this week. If you want to play it relatively safe, I mean, there's up to 4 mils of rain for the VC option in Ponga. If you didn't go and blow your load early in Vegas, like one person on this podcast. So I'm going to be on the VC on Ponga this week, and I'm going to get to watch it. And you know the best part? I'll go to the game. If he tears up my Tigers, I'll feel good about it because I'll then just be able to take the loop and get a Titans player early next week. Mattrix, cool. You go next, mate.
Reece Walsh, he's electric. They've looked good. I've got him in my team. He was my vice captain, regardless of if we were doing it for a segment about Ponga and Turbo and all these other good guys. I think he's got the upside. You know what? Like, he doesn't actually score like 180 or like 150 or whatever. But I think if he did get 120 or 130, I could get around vice captaining him this week with this much wet weather.
What are you taking for the loop this week then?
120?
You have to, with your mate stinking it up. Like, it really ruins the loop. Yeah. So, probably parameters are a little bit higher than what they were pre-Vegas.
Yeah, it's got to be. Like, my mate did stuff us over in Vegas. He didn't like the city lights. I tell you what, Luke Metcalf looks like a bit of a champ. I reckon he went out, played a bit of poker, drunk a little bit too much the night before. And like that drop at the line when he had Hudson Young running at him just looked like that he'd had one too many scooey moi mois the night before, doesn't it?
Yeah. So he slandered his own players now on the podcast. He slandered Watson. He slandered Luke Metcalf for getting on the piss before the Vegas game.
That's a good thing.
Oh, yeah, actually, that's true. That is positive in your world. Who have you got, Josh, for VC?
I've changed mine about 3 times, and you can tell who was late doing the notes. Yeah, you can tell who was late doing their notes this week with their captaincy and vice captain choices, because we put a rule in place that we can't bring up the same player. So that means 6 players have to get crafted from 6 games, and fucking hell, when the top 4 players are done, I'm battling. But I'm going to back my boy, Lockie Galvin. It could be him, could be Skelton, but Lockie Galvin, I think he's probably the guy with the best floor in terms of any of these like playmakers, and he can probably match them if the Tigers are clicking as the way we think they should. I will preface that this is probably my lowest priority on the list. if I had to pick, it would be like a turbo into my captain, which is actually going to be Harry Grant, boys. Now, Harry Grant up against the Parramatta Eels. It's actually his 5th best team he performs against in the whole comp. Averages 84 points a game against them. So in round 1, we know that 84 points looks like 225 from pre-2021. So if Harry Grant's hit that average, and there was a game, oh goodness, it might have been 3 years ago where I think Grant got 140, Munster got 160, and Pappy may have got like 120. So they really, really clicked. And the bookies do have Melbourne as a 20-point favourite. So they expect a bit of a shellacking. And when the chips are down, I might turn to old the wizard, Harold Grant, to bail me out of trouble.
You've made me nervous not having him now. So you've done your job. Yeah, well
bad
played.
Day to be a WhatsApp poll after we get off this.
Yeah, bad day to just be me, to be fair, because every fucking player that I don't own is going to destroy me. And then all the players that have come out, like fucking Shitasaki, is going to probably score a double. Kelmer's going to score 16.
The
it's going to be a great time.
Kelmer is you're going to cop it, and you're not even going to own the guy.
I know.
No,
I know.
Kelmer's going to score 9.
You're fucked because if Kelmer scores like 85,
you don't
own him. And if he scores 12, you're getting slandered, and you.
Yeah, but it makes it interesting. Someone's got to do it. You know, like Mattrix puts out and tags you in stuff because you're not controversial enough on Instagram, so he gets you involved in the conversation. Yeah,
sure.
Love it. Did you mention your captain?
That's the worst take I've ever heard.
Did you mention your captain, Matty?
No. It's Asako.
By default, because everyone else was taken.
Yeah, and like let's put a caveat. I am captaining Turbo because he has a high ceiling and I think a relatively low floor. But it was probably more like I could get around vice captaining Asako as well if you're going with the Turbo because you can, he's goal kicking. I think Souths are in a world of hurt.
Genuine question. So, like, we haven't found out who the 5 players are. We have a very good idea of who they are. But if in the final hour, old Jamie Chapman said to Hamiso, "Please don't fly. I need you safe." Are you off Asako?
I wouldn't be going anywhere.
Yeah,
I'd be at home too.
Are you off Asako?
Yeah, I don't think I trade him out because it's a sprint, not a marathon. But yeah, I don't have a vice captain on him.
We've got one, boys. Our first one of the year.
Yes.
Jamie's been influenced by big podcasters.
Yes, don't be influenced by big podcasters.
There will be a shirt. Absolutely, there will be a shirt.
Anyone listening to audio, Jamie Camilleri said, "Great work, gang. In 15 minutes, you've convinced me to trade out Ola Kawatu and fund a new Grant. If it does make you feel any better, the stats do back up that Hamole is not great with Turbo in the side. So don't be influenced by big podcasters, but also you made the right move."
Absolutely.
Yeah, I like that.
So at the moment, the team lists have already changed for the Finns. Cody Nicorima's out. Sean O'Sullivan replaces him.
Shock
at
horror.
5'8". And then we've got, who was the 16 and...
Mark
yeah,
Nichols,
so the 16 jersey was out as well.
I
Nichols?
think it was Mark Nichols, yeah.
Mark Nichols, yeah. So that's already been changed in the app.
I think the other ones were like Fiege and a bunch of fringe guys. So just Cody, which is interesting, but doesn't really affect Asako too much. He's probably the only Dolphin backline player that we have stock in. Katoa was playing on that left-hand side, on that right-hand side, so nothing really changes too much there. But old Josh Kerr and Ray Mustone is just promoted.
That was the best preseason ever when Ray Stone was in the conversation at hooker, wasn't it?
The streets will not forget the 230k Ray Stone movement.
Fuck yes. Absolutely. It was so good. Guys, before we wrap things up, we've got the Game Day Squad of the Week brought to you by Game Day Squad. For those of you that have never heard of Game Day Squad before, it's the perfect crossover between card collecting and fantasy sports. You can play for free and you can win for free. You can collect, you can trade, you can buy and sell cards. You can build yourself a squad and compete against your mates in the Game Day Squad community with up to $100,000 in prizes every single year. Sign up to Game Day Squad. Use the code IFSAUS as the promo code when you sign up, and you'll get yourself 3 9-player common packs to kick-start things. And we're bringing you the Squad of the Week. I tell you what, Mattrix, we've done all right here making this team, because when you look at it on the screen right now, as you can see there, one, join the league. Just chuck that code into the league section and get involved, because we're giving away up to $50 in packs every single week for the top scorer. But we've already kicked things off. We created this team last week, Matty. We've already got Hosking, who was the second highest scorer for that game, We've already got who we got? Nathan Cleary and Nico Hines for obvious reasons. And RTS was actually one of the top scorers in the Warriors game as well. So we've done all right, Matty. You want to go through the rest of the team?
Yeah, we had AFB as well there, I see. I picked Jeremy Marshall-King because I expect, again, I've said it probably 100 times about the Rabbitohs. So I went heavy when it was my picks on Dolphins. So that's JMK, Herbie Farnworth, and Jermaine Asako from the Dolphins. Yeah, as you said, went all right with Yo, AFB, and Hosking. But we've got Payne Haas. He's always really good in this format. Jermaine Hopgood, I think you've got some stats to back up Jermaine Hopgood, and you're super high on Jacob Preston and Terrell May there. Anything to say about Haas, Hopgood, Preston, or May, mate?
It's more the Hopgood, and we're talking SuperCoach stats now. We're not talking fantasy. It is scored a bit differently, Game Day Squad, but in saying that, in games over, and shout out to SuperCoach Late Mail who got the stats up on Instagram. Over 60-minute games for Hopgood last year, he averaged 76. And at the moment, he's priced at about a 68. So there's value there in SuperCoach. But yeah, from a Game Day Squad perspective, if anybody plays fantasy, it is very similar. All the base stats are always definitely something to chase when it comes to Game Day Squad and fantasy scoring. So yeah, Hopgood's a guy you want in your team there in most of those formats.
Have a look at the halves there, mate. Could you just bring it back up on the screen?
I'll bring it back up.
Nico and Cleary, of course, did fine. We've got Mitch Moses, which, of course, we will have to change on our team of the week. Having a little bit of a think about that, I could probably go a Cam Munster for a Mosesless Parramatta or somebody along those lines I really like. Of course, halves is one spot in this. We had RTS. We've got one Gregory Marju and Kalen Ponga expecting them to do a number over. And on the bench, and the bench and Game Day Squad score the same amount of points as the starters. We've loaded up on fullbacks rather than getting centers or wingers, which I think is the best way to play this format. And we've got Turbo and Reece Walsh rounding them out. So, yeah, obviously VC and captain chat for a lot of these guys, which is why we've backed it up in our Game Day Squad team of the week. Squad of the week, actually.
And the beauty of Game Day Squad is that you can basically form a team of bronze players that don't cost you anything, and you can get involved. It doesn't cost you a cent. You don't have to buy packs. You don't have to go and get onto the market and trade for good cards. Josh has one of the best teams I've fucking ever seen, mind you. He's got like Diamond as a Yo and fucking Diamond Nikos and all sorts of shit.
Very lucky to have like Platt Yo, Diamond Yo, Platt Grant, Platt Cleary, Platt Hines, Diamond. Herbie Farnworth, like Platt Dotto. Yeah, so it's very unfortunate that I am not as engaged as I need to be. So if you ever see Whisperers Warriors chucking up some cards that are much underpriced than what they should be, buy them. And it's repayment for you paying me $10 a month for Patreon.
Yeah, don't ask questions. Just take them. Take the good cards. Guys,
love me some GDS. So it's good that we're getting a bit of a run out, despite them not paying me. So I'm not contracted. I'm not contracted to say that. I can say I do enjoy GDS.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. Guys, that's it from us. Thanks for watching. We've got obviously plenty to get through this one with the first episode of the year for the main TLT. You're going to see obviously much of the same moving forward, but we'll be back on Sunday. So Sunday night will be our live. It'll be a little bit more raw. We'll be talking about the games, what we thought from what we saw, and how our teams went as well on that Sunday night. You might see me call in sick when my teams don't go well. So we'll just see how that goes this weekend.
We get the first earned hat backwards.
Oh, we do too.
Yes,
we do. So Josh, you've got the hat on. We've dodged the hat, but you've got the hat. So at the front, it has the Insight Fantasy Sports logo. On the back, it has a crown. So when you flip it around, when you win the week, right? So anybody who comes in out of all three of us will have our scores and our rank at the bottom like we always do on the screen, but you get to wear the crown if you get the top scorer amongst the three of us.
You'll be for the 407 people that are watching. Holy fuck, that's a big number. But for the 470 of you watching, this will be a pretty common occurrence for the rest of the season. These two not wearing the crown hat with yours truly with it backwards, representing the crown, nice and proud. But if you want to flex your little crown amongst your friend group, you can also buy one of these hats. But if you're not a backwards hat kind of guy, you're more of a frontwards facing kind of man, we have the opposite as well. Insight logo on the back, a bit of crown action on the front. So you can get yours. I believe the link is in the description if Nathan has done his job as the Insight Fantasy social media coordinator properly.
I do my job. Don't you worry about me. You can buy one in the link in the description below. The whole shop is there as well. We've got shirts that I'm wearing tonight for Insight. We've got a couple of other hats on there as well. And if you end up paying for a Insight Unlimited yearly subscription, we actually give you one for free. So if you want to go and get a hat, but also get access to us for the year, and that's not just NRL, that's AFL, BBL, NBL. We also do NBA and NFL. It's coming into the end of the season / off season now. But if you want everything we have to offer, you pay for a year up front, you get yourself a hat that's worth $45 anyway. So get involved in that, guys. But thanks for watching. If you want to get involved in the Patreon, we appreciate you. We've got plenty of polls coming up because we have no fucking idea what we're doing with our team. So if you could help us, that'd be great. Remember to subscribe to support the show and hit that like button as well. Join the Unlimited League, and we will see you Sunday for hopefully what's a really nice, pleasant wrap up on Sunday evening. We'll catch you then.
Cheerio.